Yarn storage doesn't have to be fancy, but it does have to work. And today I'm sharing some of the most creative and practical ways to store your yarn, whether you have a full craft room or just a cozy little corner of your home. And at the end, I'll be giving you a tour of my brand new craft room, as well as sharing the simple storage solutions that I use every single day. Over the years, I've used every single yarn storage imaginable. In the beginning, all I needed was a simple little basket for my few skeins of yarn, but that collection quickly grew and I used an old bookcase that was in our living room. I just took the books out and I put my yarn in. And when my second daughter moved off to college, I upgraded and took my yarn and my notions up to her old bedroom, and that worked so wonderfully until that space was needed for another child and I had to start over again. That's when I needed to get really creative, and this was back in 2019, and that's when I started to think about my scary, dark basement laundry room, and this idea got in my head that maybe this could be my very own craft room. So with a little imagination, a whole lot of elbow grease, and several trips to IKEA, I transformed that room. I shouldn't say my husband and I transformed that room into the creative space of my dreams. And it served me well for 6 wonderful years. And fast forward to 2025 and I'm sitting in my brand new craft room. And I share all of that to say that I have been through just about every stage of yarn storage. From baskets to bookcases to a fully finished craft room, I've learned that there are creative and affordable ways to store your yarn for whatever need and budget you have. The very first way that I stored yarn is still one of my favorites, and that is with baskets. They're pretty affordable and they come in so many different shapes and sizes. I still use baskets to store yarn because number one, it's just so darn practical, and number two, I really do feel like it makes my home feel so cozy and warm. One of my favorite places to get baskets is at the thrift store. Now, I've looked at them at craft stores, at places like Walmart and Target, and I always think they're just too expensive. And I started going to places like Salvation Army and Goodwill, and lo and behold, they have tons of different baskets and the price is just right. But I've also found plastic ones at Dollar Tree that work great. They're very practical, they're affordable, and they usually come in so many pretty colors. But one of my favorite ideas, and one that I am determined to do one of these days, is to crochet your own scrap yarn basket. That way you can store your yarn in a basket you made from your yarn. And thinking of yarn storage reminds me of why I love crochet so much. Even the smallest skein of yarn can turn into something beautiful with a few stitches and a little imagination. And if you've been wanting to make your own practical yarn storage baskets, I've got the perfect resource for you. I'm so excited to be partnering again with Craftsy. It's an online learning platform filled with thousands of creative classes in different areas like crochet, knitting, sewing, quilting, and drawing, just to name a few. And whether you're just getting started or you're ready to stretch yourself with something totally new, Craftsy makes it easy to learn at your own pace. I actually joined Craftsy early on in my own crochet journey, and it has made such a difference for me. One class that I think you might really love is Crocheting Accessories by Valeria Torres. In this class, you'll learn a handful of basic techniques and stitches like single crochet and how to make a magic ring, and then you're going to turn those skills into fun, useful projects like a pencil holder, which I think would make an amazing crochet hook holder, a basket with handles, and more. It's such a great way to use up your yarn stash and create beautiful storage pieces for your crochet hobby. And what's even better is that Craftsy is having an amazing Black Friday special. When you click the link in the description, you'll get your first full year of Craftsy Premium for only $1.49. So whether you're brand new to crochet or you want to take your skills a little further, Craftsy makes it simple to learn at your own pace and from the comforts of your own home. Thank you so much to Craftsy for sponsoring today's video. I wish that I had known about yarn trolleys when I first got started, and they're also called utility carts. This is a fantastic solution when you don't have a lot of space and you want something portable. You can find them almost anywhere from Walmart, Target, IKEA, Amazon, and even places like Michael's. They probably have them lots of other places too. What I really like about these is that they usually come on rollers, but you're also utilizing that vertical space with those shelves, and I think that's super helpful when you have a limited floor space. I really like this one from Amazon. It's got really good reviews, and I also like that it comes in the color pink. I think that is so cute. One thing thing that I've been doing for quite some time is keeping yarn scrap jars. Yarn scraps can be used for so many different things, and my favorite is using them for amigurumi stuffing. I add them to traditional polyfill so that those scraps don't go in the garbage, but I also like that it helps to stretch that polyfill, which is good for my wallet. For super small scraps, I use these little plastic bins that I got at Dollar Tree, and I just stuff them in there every time I work on a project. For larger scraps, I like to keep them in these pretty glass jars that I also got at Dollar Tree, and I like that you can secure the lid with the little latch. I like to separate those into yarn weights. That way, when I'm ready to make a scrappy project, I've got all the weights separated, which you don't need to, but for somebody like me, it just helps me a lot knowing that these are my worsted weight, my number 4 weights, these are my number 3 weight yarns. Just helps my brain. One thing I try to keep in the back of my mind when I need storage is thinking about my vertical space. I used to only think about how much floor space I had, but now I think about the walls and even the ceilings as storage. I love these little ceiling hammocks that are typically advertised for toy storage, but they would also be a great place to put your yarn. You can get these anywhere, like at Amazon, Target. I believe I've even seen them at Aldi before. This is an easy way to get the yarn off the floor, and it also can make the room look so cute and cozy. But you can even crochet one for yourself. You can find loads of free tutorials right here on YouTube. When you just search up toy hammock crochet tutorial, you'll find so many different ones to choose from. I also found one on Amazon that has great reviews, and it says it can hold up to 12 pounds, which that's a lot of yarn. Another one of my favorite ideas is a storage ottoman. They come in so many different shapes and sizes, and what I love about them is that they actually just look like a piece of furniture. You could have this in your living room, your bedroom, your kitchen, and no one would know that it was full of yarn. It also keeps your yarn protected from the elements like dust or even pets. And they come in so many different colors that they can match the decor of your room. I'm talking myself into getting one of these because I think this is a genius idea. I know a lot of you already do this, but utilizing the space under your bed is a great way to store yarn. Plus, there are so many different kinds to choose from. They have ones that are stackable, ones on wheels, they have plastic ones, and even fabric. You could organize your yarn by weight or color and it not cause any visual clutter. I know for some people that can be a really big issue. I'm the exact opposite, as you can see. If it's not right in front of me, I have the tendency to forget that it exists. I've had a lot of people in my comments recently say that, oh, you must have ADHD. And I'm like, I don't think I do, but the more I do these videos and the more I struggle with organization and storage and things like that, and the reason why I talk about it a lot in my channel is because it is a struggle of my own, so I'm constantly trying to find solutions for it, the more I think maybe I do have ADHD. I don't know. It would explain a lot in my life. One of my favorite yarn storage ideas is totally new to me, and that's over the door storage. And this is a fantastic way to use that vertical space. We used to have one of these for shoes back in the day, but I had no idea that they made ones specifically for yarn. I found so many different ones on Amazon, and they come in lots of different shapes and sizes, so you could look and see what would fit your needs. But you could also use a different type of over-the-door storage. I know they have some for jewelry, obviously for shoes and other accessories, and that may work just as well for yarn. I really like this particular one that I found on Amazon. It has really good reviews, and I like the way that you're able to zip up each one of those little containers, so that way it keeps the yarn safe and it's not falling on the floor and it's not getting dusty, and your kitty cats won't be able to get to it. If you have space in a closet, I really love these hanging closet shelves. They're very similar to the over-the-door yarn storage, but they also come in lots of different sizes, but they also come in lots of different materials. Some of them are fabric and some of them are wire shelves, but they still hang on a dowel in a closet. These are actually meant for storing sweaters and shirts and jeans and soft clothing, but it actually is perfect for yarn. Each little compartment is like its own little yarn cubby, and you can sort the yarn by weight, by color, by fiber type. Sounds so exciting. I love that this keeps your yarn visual and accessible without taking up any floor space. They're also super lightweight. That way you can move them around anytime you need to reorganize your space. I think you can also find these in a lot of different places like Amazon, Walmart, Target, all of the regulars. This next one probably is my favorite, but it is a bit of a DIY project. But if you have ever dreamed of turning your collection of yarn into art, a pegboard full of yarn is such a fun and functional way to store your yarn, but it is also absolutely gorgeous. By mounting a pegboard with all of your yarn cakes on the little pegs is creating a yarn gallery. All those gorgeous colors become part of the decor, and I also love that that will feel like such inspiration, and you'll also know exactly what you have. I found an amazing tutorial from Morth Under for how to create this DIY pegboard for yarn. It's a simple weekend project, but it looks like it came right out of a craft magazine. But what's even better is that you can customize it to fit your space exactly. But what I really love about this is that you don't just have to hang your yarn. You could also use it to hang your notions, your scissors. You can put little bins in there, little baskets, and all kinds of things can hang on a pegboard, so you could get totally organized. It keeps everything in sight, everything organized, and it's going to inspire you every single time you walk by it. This could be amazing. So if you do it, please send me a picture, because I don't think I have any room in here. Well, actually, I'm looking at a wall right now that would, oh my goodness, that could be absolutely stunning. Can you tell I'm excited about this one? I love this idea. One of my favorite ways to store yarn is in bookcases. These are so incredibly versatile, and you can find them almost anywhere. I have some from IKEA, I have one from an antique shop, but you can also find them in thrift stores. You can paint them. There are so many things you can do with a bookcase. Again, this is utilizing that vertical space, and if you're anything like me and you love to see your yarn out, it can look absolutely gorgeous. These are the Billy bookcases from IKEA, and I also have the Kallax storage system, which isn't really a bookcase, but it's kind of like a bookcase. But they are both great ways to store the yarn. But I also have this little antique cabinet that I absolutely love that's more for display, but it also would make amazing yarn storage. But I've also seen beautiful antique chest of drawers where you open the drawers up and the yarn is all organized. That's another way to use a piece of furniture to store your yarn. You may have heard this story a gazillion times, or maybe this is your first time here at my channel. Welcome. But my basement laundry room served me very well as my crafting space for a very long time, and I feel incredibly blessed to have had it. I hid her flaws as much as I could, and I dealt with her challenges, but it was a cozy, wonderful place to store my yarn and film videos all about yarn. But when my husband's business outgrew our basement, I started eyeing his old office as a potential new spot. What I liked about that room was that it had a door with a window to let in a little natural light. I also kind of like the idea of not having my washer and dryer in the same room. But to make it truly functional, we were going to need to hire professionals. We worked with a wonderful couple who are way more skilled than my husband and I, and they wanted to bring our vision to life. We knew we wanted a real ceiling and overhead lighting. It was pretty challenging trying to get the lighting right in my old laundry room craft room, as I had only one little bulb overhead and no natural light. So I used box lights, which worked pretty well. The basement in general just felt really dark between the insulation ceilings, chipped dark green floors, and gray walls. I just wanted it to feel bright and cheerful. I could never have imagined that it was going to turn out like this. It now feels so bright, and I just want to be in here all the time. My main form of storage for this room is my Kallax shelves from IKEA. I use a combination of open shelves and shelves with bins. I find that large skeins work well in the open shelves, but I need the bins for smaller skeins and donut-shaped yarns. This thing holds a ton of yarn, and it utilizes my favorite vertical area. This room isn't very big, and we have to maximize every square inch. I also use the bins for practical storage like my crochet hook collection and other notions. I also have the Billy bookcases from IKEA where I'm able to store yarn, but I also have them for displaying my crochet makes. But my favorite piece is the antique cupboard that sits atop my IKEA shelf. It's so cozy see, and I store some yarn in here, but mostly it's just to display all the pretty things that bring me inspiration. Okay, this next part has nothing to do with yarn storage, but I have to show you what we did in this room for my kitty cats. Right outside of this door is Pickle and Olive's new catio. A catio is just a cat patio, and we had one here before the renovation that I purchased from Amazon a few years ago, but it was so exposed to the weather in this spot that it was literally falling apart. We told our amazing carpenters about building them a better catio, and after looking at us like we were crazy people, they designed a better spot for our fur babies. This is where Pickle loves to spend time. He can watch the squirrels and birds and enjoy getting some fresh air. It's pretty spacious, and eventually when the weather gets warmer, I'm going to get a little chair so I can sit outside with him. He also has these little perches where he can jump from one to another. Thank you for indulging me about my cats, but let's get back to yarn storage. My biggest hope is that you will find something to take away with this, that you will find a yarn storage solution that works best for you. I do realize how lucky I am to have this space, but even if you just have a little corner, if you just have a little bookcase, or even just a basket in your living room, I hope that you will find a yarn storage solution that makes you feel cozy and inspired to crochet. You don't need a big fancy craft room. You just need something all your own. I have found that IKEA, Walmart, Dollar Tree, Amazon, and thrift stores to be my best bet when looking for yarn storage. There are just so many different options that fit your specific needs. And what I particularly love about yarn storage and how I feel like it's different than other crafting storage is that yarn is so beautiful that it actually looks like art. It's so colorful, and it can completely change the way your space feels. For me, I love having it out and it being very accessible because it inspires me and makes me want to crochet. But the way I store yarn may not work for you for so many different reasons. You may live in a climate that's very dusty, humid, or you may have pets that are a little too interested in your fiber. And that's okay because there are so many different solutions out there. But I want to know, what are your favorite ways to store yarn? Please let us know in the comment section. We would all love to hear from you. But I hope you all have a great rest of your week. Stay safe and happy stitching.